Hi YouTubers, hey, it's Gene again. Hey, you remember a couple weeks ago I showed you my baby chicks? Well, they're not really babies anymore. They're like 5 weeks old now, and they are wanting a bigger place. They just wrote me a note this morning, said, landlord, we got to have more room. So anyhow, we're working on making more room. I'm going to show you a chicken tractor. It's very. Actually, it's a couple of different patterns put together with some hybridization going on, some extra things that I came up with. So out of necessity, basically everything I built here today, everything I'm doing, it's all either scrap or culled material, except for the wire and the tarps. But I mean, the framework is all either culled from the lumber yard, or a lot of it's just stuff I had laying around. So that's why some of the dimensions are what they are, and that's why there's probably not a straight angle anywhere on the thing. But hey, it works. We're not trying to make the Taj Mahal, we're making a chicken tractor. Okay, now this one is finished floor space is like 7.5 feet long and 6 feet wide, and the center of it is 6 feet tall, so I can actually go in the door and walk down the center without having to duck. I do duck because it's a habit, okay? But anyhow, I'm gonna turn around and show it to you now. And here we go, hang on. Okay, here's what we got. Here's what we came up with the culled lumber and stuff. Basically, it looks a lot like a Suskovitch tractor, which is where I got most of the ideas for it. And a Suskovitch tractor is basically a Joel Salatin tractor with a roof over the top instead of flat. I don't like the flat because you have to get down. Hard to get down inside there. Hey, I'm old. I'm almost 70 years old. I don't like getting down on my hands and knees to chase chickens. So I wanted something I could stand up in. I wanted something that wasn't terribly heavy. And I started to set out to make a Suskovitch tractor, and the materials were just more than I wanted to spend. That metal conduit, it's not real bad expensive, but it's like $7 a stick or something like that, and it takes like 2 pieces to make a loop or whatever. Anyway, I just decided it was going to be cheaper to do it this way. I actually came up with a plan at one point for the top. I built the bottom part, this part that's like the Salatin tractor, and then I was gonna just put like a PVC hoop over top of it and put my stuff on that. Well, then I ran into situations with where the two meet, where the hoop meets the other part here. Then it's like, well, then how am I gonna continue the wire all the way down? Now Suskovitch fixes this by just running wire along the bottom part separately, and then running the chicken wire over the top and down to that. But I wanted to make a continuous chicken wire strip over the whole thing. So I got to looking at it, and I said, I got a whole bunch of pressure treated 6-foot 2x4s here that I got really cheap. And in fact, everything on this is pressure treated except the ridge pole, and the door is going to be made out of fresh pine, let's call it, not pressure treated. Everything else on here is pressure treated, just because I got it cheaper than regular 2x4s. So anyhow, because of that, you'll see that some of it's not really straight. If you look down this 2x4 here, it looks like a river going somewhere. But hey, the chickens don't care, and we don't have to make a metal roof fit it or anything. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you some details here. This here is the only purpose for that is to hold the ridge pole, and that is 6 feet tall from the top to the ground. Okay, back here I'll go show you more detail in a minute, but that ridge pole then ties into the door frame, which is also 6 feet tall to the top, and then all I did after that was just measure and cut the angles on these. And I overbuilt it. I usually overbuild things. Could have made probably the whole thing out of 2x2s, instead of 2x4s on most of it. But this is what I had, and so I said, you know what, I think that's going to work, and so we'll use it. And it's heavy, but it's not overly heavy. Over here I've got, told you I'd show you the door. Basically all I did here was I put this 2x4 on across, just like I did on the back and on the sides, and then I figured out how wide I wanted my door, and I put in these two uprights and screwed them here and here, and then I just came in with my Sawzall and cut that out, and then lifted it up and put it up here between the two boards, screwed in from both sides, and now that's my top door frame that my ridge pole fits into. So it's really simple. You can't get much simpler than that. And the rafters are 2x2s. I had 2x4s, so I split them on my table saw. Basically, that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to put this on the tripod, and I'm going to put the wire on there. And I want you to show you after a bit. I'm going to show you details on making the door. Okay, got that wire over the top. While I'm catching my breath here for a minute, I want to show you some of the little details, as to the little things that people are like, how did you do that? What's the best way to do it? I had to do some thinking on some of these myself. The bottom, I simply did it simplest way I could think of. I just laid out a square, nailed them or screwed them into the end like that. I left the side pieces about 6 inches longer on each end. You don't have to do that. I did that because I wanted to. I don't know if you can see it here or not. I wanted to put like a runner front end, an angle on that board, so it'll slide a little easier along the dirt. I'm going to also put a hole in there on all four of those and feed a rope through it so it'll be easier to pull around. So the joinery on that part of it is really simple. You just put screws in from the side, and then I put the uprights, 2-foot uprights, flush with the bottom, flush with the top, screwed them in from both sides and on all four corners. And then when I got around to the top board here, I just did exactly the same thing again. And so it's really simple. It's just a box, and you can see here a little easier how it went together. And I tried to keep these uprights as flush to the top here as I could. You'll notice a couple of places I had to grind them off. Even here, right here's one, because when I came down with my rafters, this was sticking up higher, and I wanted to be able to keep a flush surface there. So I ground the tops down on those with my little side grinder. But you know, that's not absolutely necessary either. Then the other part that, like I said earlier, for the door, basically did the same thing again, exactly like I did before, except after I got these two uprights in, instead of one upright in the center, like I have back there, I put in two uprights. And what I did was just decided, okay, how wide do I want my door? So, well, I think I want about 25 inches. Well, I wanted 24 inches, but I measured over from the top over to here, 24 inches, and from here to here 24 inches, and then that left me about 25 something in the middle here. So I just screwed my uprights in, not at the top yet, just these two down here, because the top didn't exist yet then. These two right here, and then I came in with my Sawzall and I just cut down there and there, and I took that piece of 2x4 that I cut out of there and put it up here. 2 screws from that side, 2 screws from that side. There you go. That gave me something then to hook my ridge pole to on this end. My ridge board is right there, that 2x4, and it just comes in here at the right at the top, flush with the top. I put in 2 screws here. Did the same thing on the back with the one board in the center. So now we got a door frame. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to make the door here in a few minutes, and I'll show you that. But basically, like I said, I'm just trying to show you some details. The rafters are simple. Because I used culled lumber and it's crooked and all different and everything, and I didn't make it that accurate, every single rafter is a little bit different length and angle. So I just had to do a, compare and cut, or cut and compare, do it by ear. But I wanted to have each one flush at the top with the top of that ridge board, and flush down here with the edge of the sideboard. And that's pretty much what we got. The reason I spaced the rafters like I did was because I'm using 48-inch wire, and so I needed to have the center set of rafters had to be less than 48 inches so that the wire could overlap that from both sides, and that's what we did there. It's actually about 44 inches from the end, 44 inches from this end also. And then I just split the difference on the other two so that there's something to support the wire. And that's important because the wire and the rafters are what's going to support the vinyl, the tarp, which will be their weather protecting. So that's pretty much it as far as construction details. I mean, everything else is pretty self-explanatory, I think. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I try to read all the comments, and I'll try to answer. It may take me a little while before I catch up with them, but put your questions down there, your comments. You see a way I could have done it better, whatever, put it in there, and we'll try to get a discussion on it. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn this off for a minute again. We'll go to scene 3 or 4 or 12, whatever scene it is, and I'm gonna lay out that door and show you how I make that. Okay. I was going to show you how to lay out the door, but I forgot to show you how to come up with the size of it. Basically, it's pretty simple and self-explanatory too. You want inside that door frame, because I'm going to make the door fit inside the frame. You could do it either way. You could set it out here and set it flush against it, and that might actually be stronger. But then you're going to have, because of your setback here, you're going to have a bigger gap there for snakes, mice, whatever to get into, which is probably not a big deal because they can probably get in through any of that stuff. But makes me feel better to do it this way. So I got right at 25.5 inches inside to inside. I don't want it quite that big. I want at least a 1/4 inch gap so that the door has room to wiggle itself in there, come and, open and close. So there's 25.25, we're going to say. Check the bottom, make sure it's the same. That's a little smaller, so we're going to go 25 at the bottom, 25.25 at the top. Could even just go 25 all the way, would probably be just fine. Now for the size up and down, I'm going to hook this at the bottom, but I'm not going to take it all the way to the ground. Okay, up here I got 68 inches, because that's go inside here, inside that ledge. So I got 68 inches. But I'm going to drop it down because I don't want that bottom rubbing right on the ground with the grass and stuff. I'd rather have it up a little bit. So if I go to 67, that'll give us a little bit of clearance on the bottom for dirt, mud, and grass and such. Could even go 66.5. So we got We got 25 and 67. You know what? I am going to go back to the 25.25 here. I don't like that big a gap. 25.25 by 67. So I'm gonna put you down, get my materials out, put this on the tripod, and hi Sparky, and we'll pick it up from there, and we'll make us a door. So don't go away. Okay, now we get to the part where we have to do some math. We got to figure out how wide to cut these, how long to cut these for the top and bottom of the door. Now we said it was, the hole was 25 and a quarter at the top and 25 at the bottom. That's outside to outside. Okay, so I cut these here the full length, the side ones, side pieces, because I think it gives it more strength if you can put the hinges on a piece that goes full length. So that's why I did that. Somebody friendly there. So we got those full length, 67 inches I think they were. So now what we got to do is we need to find out how big this piece in here is. So to do that, we have to measure. We have to realize that the piece we're going to cut right now is going to go right in between here. So we measure these. They're 3.5 inches wide. And there's 2 of them, so that's 7. Okay. 7 inches. And we want it to be 25 inches total. So that leaves us 18 inches. And if you wanted to check your math, just do it backwards. 18 and 7 is 25, so that's right. On this top one, we're going to make it 18 and a quarter, because remember the top gap was a little bit wider than the bottom one. You don't have to do this, but I want to. I'm going to keep it as close to the frame as I can. So the bottom one's going to be 18 inches. The top one's going to be 18 and a quarter inches. So let's go cut those boards and then we'll put them together. Let's get after it. Okay, now I've got a beautiful pocket here for the screws go into here. And you just barely see they're just about to poke through there. And we still got enough shoulder here to hold it together. We're going to do that on the other 2 corners and put it together. Here we go again. Okay, I want to show you, while you were gone, I test fitted my door, and it's great, works great. But because I used a 2x2 or 2x4 frame with a 1-inch door, I was having some the door was going to be kind of loose and floppy. Wouldn't really probably hurt anything, but I like it to fit tighter, so I put these spacer blocks on each corner just to take up room and make it fit a little tighter in the frame. And it has the added advantage of buttressing up the corners a little bit, making them a little stronger. Right now, boy, that's annoying, isn't it? Right now, it's time to cover the door, and I dug out, I'm pretty cheap, so I dug out some old used chicken wire out of my scrap pile, trying to straighten it out here, and we're going to put that on there. I'll do that real quick, and then we'll go on to the next thing. So let's get after it. Okay, we're getting ready to put some hinges on here. First thing I'm going to do is put it on the door itself. Evened out. Okay. Okay, now the next thing is to get the height. Now I'm going to use I guess you can't see the bottom yet. I want to use a spacer here. It's just a 1x4 board. I'm just going to set that underneath the door for it to sit on. That gives us a nice lot of space here. I think this won't take quite as much torque this way as if we were using butt hinge. Like I said, with the 1-inch door frame, it's really hard to, there's just not enough of it to use it as a butt hinge. Go, now a lot more. There we go, got the door installed. I'm gonna have to get a latch on it, of course. And because of the fact that I've used inferior wood and some of it's warped and that there's twists and turns in there, it doesn't fit perfectly like a door in your house. But I'll use a bolt or something of that nature for the latch, and that'll pull it into the frame and keep the gaps from being there and hold it in place. The chickens are gonna love it. Hey, guess what? I did part of this without you. Yeah, I was fighting rain and stuff all off and on all the time there, so I just kind of snuck out and did a little bit when I could and didn't get it all videoed. But it's pretty straightforward from up to this point. You saw me put the chicken wire over the top of it. That's straightforward and simple. Basically, I just did the same thing here. I had 4-foot wire, so I ran it across and then just patched in the top, little triangle pieces at the top. Stapled it in same way as I did the other, and basically did the same thing on the other end. Except that this end has the door cut out of it, so just had smaller areas to cover. So that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Door latch, wanted to use a positive latch on the outside, so I used a simple barrel bolt. Make sure when you put your barrel bolt on that the lock tabs go down, not up. I've done that before, and you think you got it secured and the wind blows and opens itself up. So I got it on there good and snug. There we go. Now, here's another clue. Make darn sure you put a latch on the inside that you can hook and unhook from the inside, because the chickens will just go right out through there if you don't have it latched when you get in here. You come in here to feed them or work with them or something. I got just a simple little hook and eye there, but I can unlatch it only from the inside. There, it's ready to go. Now, we're in here. I still have to put a roost bar across the back here, and I'll probably do that on another video. And I still have to put in a nesting box. I think I'm going to put it right inside the door right there, but that too, I'll do that on another video. I'm not exactly sure how I want to build it yet, but I want to cover with you how I did the tarps on the roof. It's real simple, and you don't have to do it this way. You can do it however you want to, but instead of getting one big tarp to go all the way over the whole thing, I decided it might be more adjustable if I decided it might be more adjustable if I used 2 tarps. So I bought these. They're just cheap tarps I got at the farm store. I think they're like $5.99 a piece, and they're 8 by 10 tarps, but that's cut size. And it just so happened that this was not planned, but the 8 by 10 cut size tarp fits perfectly. That's a little less than 8 feet there, and it fits perfectly across there. And what I did was I brought them up, as you can see, I brought them up over the top and secured it there. And at the bottom, I put a 1 by 2, the full length of it, stick it out on both ends a little bit, and then I rolled the bottom of the tarp up in it and stapled it, so I can just unroll that now and tie it to the bottom when it gets cold or windy or rainy, whatever. All I gotta do is take those two tie down straps off of there and drop that curtain down, and then tie it to the bottom rail instead of the top rail. Did the same thing on the other side. Lapped them over each other at the top. And it's good to go. Now I may have to do some adjusting and stuff later on. I may have to fasten it differently, fasten it better. I don't know. It's kind of an experiment. But right now we got good coverage. The thing I like about it is I can stand up in it. It's got good coverage from rain, They got plenty of ventilation. They can get, you know, all ventilation from all the way around the bottom where they're at. And if it gets too cold or too windy, I'm going to put the roost bars up on that 24-inch upper bar there across, so they can actually, when they get up on the roof, up on the roost, they'll actually be up above this ventilated spot, so they can be a lot warmer if they need to be. So that's about it for right now. That's my new hybrid chicken tractor. I originally was going to put my meat chickens in here, and then I realized the other day that, heck, that's kind of small for 25 meat chicks, and I've only got 9 hens, so I'm going to instead put a nest box in here, like I said, and put my hens in here and let all my meat chicks go into where the hens are now. And I tell you what, those hens are going to love all that grass and bugs and stuff that they get to eat. I kind of had wanted to feed out my meat chicks on pasture as well, but unless I get the time and resources to make another tractor, I guess they'll just have to make do on what I feed them. Anyway, that's it for now. Hey, if this helped you any at all, give me a like, give me a subscribe, write something down the bottom, good or bad, I don't care. Write your comments down there. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time around. Hey, I want you to know God loves you, and you are a whosoever. You know, in John 3:16 it said that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe on him should not perish but have eternal life. Well, you are a whosoever. It's just your choice. Okay? Thanks. Bye for now. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. God bless.